everyone, and welcome to the Real Influencers Project. I'm your host, Craig Reynolds, and with me today is one of my long-standing friends, Mr. Dewayne Taylor. Dwayne, you took care of me so well back in the day, no matter what company I was riding for, that it's so fitting to have you here because, truth be told, you've worked for some really amazing companies, and I don't even know how you got there. So I want to know how it happened. You grew up in Gilroy, California, correct?
Correct. Yeah, we grew up with Jimmy, then Joey Garcia, Chad Kagi, a bunch of other local guys. That was our local crew, and of course the street sweeper comes today. It's supposed to come on Tuesdays.
Well, I can't hear it. It's totally fine.
Okay. And it's just crazy how our little town, our little area, actually up to the San Jose area, can produce such amazing riders. I'm excluding myself from that part, just talking about the guys that were super rad, from Ryan Nyquist winning everything he's done in freestyle, Chad Kagi winning. That's the craziest thing. Chad Kagi, he's won something in everything in BMX. He's won a BMX race, vert, street, dirt, park, mega ramp. I don't think anybody's ever done that.
He won Mega Ramp too?
Yeah, he won a Mega Ramp event too.
No way. Well, listen, hold on. Let's not discount what you've done. You're a national champion, a racer. Like, don't discount your own talents and abilities, right? Just because they have a different type of stardom, it doesn't diminish yours.
Oh yeah, no, I get it, but I don't know. I'm just so psyched on the dudes I rode with, It's just like
that's what made you such a good sponsor. That's made you such a good supporter. For me especially, and all the other riders that you supported, whether it was at Fox Racing or DC Shoes or what you're doing now with La Revolution Cafe and Mongoose. Like, your ability to see what the rider needs is tremendous. Where does that come from?
I think that kind of comes from probably living with my grandparents and seeing, the sacrifices they did and the work that they did to try to help, their kids and myself succeed. My philosophy with being a TM, because it's been, between those companies and what I'm doing now, I've been in a marketing team manager side for about almost 20 years.
That's to say, a long time, dude. Yeah.
And like active, like there's been years I haven't been doing anything, but my philosophy kind of is, if this company didn't have awesome riders, they wouldn't need someone to manage them. Not that, oh, I'm an awesome team manager, I'm gonna build this rad thing. It's like, no, it's just like, if our team's not awesome, they don't need me. And I think also too, being able to kind of check up the boxes in my career on things that I've done. I was never so focused on shining the light on myself. I focus that light on others, my riders, the company, the team, stuff like that, and to really highlight that, not that I'm the cool guy because I work for the company. I'm lucky to work for the company and to work with these amazing athletes.
And you've worked with some pretty amazing people. I mean, Dave Mira, some of the, and that's big enough as it is right there. But you've also been on the motocross side as well, dabbling over there. And all of those guys are superstars. The mountain bike teams that you've had a chance to work with, and just the people that were on DC Shoes. What did you take from company to company that you felt was a big enough influence that would help you in your next stop?
Yeah, that was, I think, the hardest part, because I pretty much worked for the two largest image-driven companies there are out there. And which I think kind of led me to kind of go my own direction, because I'm not saying I was the best or I did the best, but I pretty much worked for the pinnacle that there is, except for like if I went to a Red Bull or a Monster or something like that, as far as action sports is concerned. And I feel very lucky to be able to fall into those opportunities and then to be seeked out by those opportunities too, getting into the whole deal was, I was just a racer kid, just trying to, make moves in racing. I I got my Fox Racing was one of my first like real sponsors. They were in Morgan Hill, the town right over. We rode with the dudes that work there with Hicks and Haight and those guys, and they're just like, oh well, why don't you run our stuff and do this? So it was when I was riding for them. I wasn't contracted. I was just riding for them at first, and it was you riding for them, Robbie, the Foster brothers, and that was it. I think there's like four
might have been it. Yeah, Marty.
I think there's only 5 riders riding for him. So I really, as being a fan of BMX as well as a rider, like I was just like, man, this is a crazy opportunity for me, So then I started riding for Fox, and then won the Grands after that year in the expert class. And Big E came up to me. He's like, hey, I want, what do you think about riding for Powerlight? And for me, that was a dream. I was riding a Powerlight already. And I was just like, awesome, like, well, when we get back, I'll send you my resume and stuff. Big E, he's like, I don't need to see your resume. I see it out there right now. And so that was a big deal because I saw how their programs were ran. They were the most legit programs in early 90s. And
and talk about someone that you got to go ride for. Big E he got it long before other teams and other people got it, right? As far as taking care of a team and putting them on a pedestal and taking care of your riders. That had to be a killer influence right there as to how he handled you and how you want to handle your teams.
Yeah, no, those were always the way I kind of looked up to team managers because I don't know why I've never just been in it just for me, like I've kind of always been, I want to be part of the culture. I want to see what I can do to make this better always. And when I got back from the Grands, I went to Fox and I was like, hey, I got offered to ride for Powerlight. This is 1 in a million chance, and Todd Hicks, he opens his drawer, he pulls out a contract, and he's like, they ride for AXA, right? I was like, yeah. He's like, you can ride for us, you can ride for them. And then, me still being young and they're my local guys, I was like, I guess I'll ride for Fox, so I signed my first. But luckily then I got picked up by Haro and got to work with another amazing TM, Tony D, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so rode with them for a while, blew my shoulder out at a national, and they said I wasn't going to be able to lift my arm over my head anymore. And I was working at a heating air conditioning company at that time. So I had to quit my job. I couldn't race anymore. I didn't know what I was going to do, And then that's when Fox decided they really wanted to push into BMX. Mm-hmm. And they hired me to build their bicycle program. Very cool. From, U4 BMXers, and then they had Lopes and Palmer. I think that's all they had in the bike world.
All they needed was Palmer.
Right? And so I came in and we literally built the baddest BMX team there ever has been on the planet. From Mira to Kegi, Garcia, DK, the Huffy team. It's a terrible one.
Yes.
It's just like the roster we had and the support I was given to kind of make this vision come true was amazing because, like when BMX came into the X Games, they were just like, dude, if any of those dudes need product, hook them up, And then that was, basically like a supercross track. So everybody wanted chest protectors and, all kinds of padding. I rolled up to that. That was the worst travel event I ever had in my life. But getting there, almost that first X Games, everybody had Fox chest protectors on, full face helmets, elbow pads, knee pads, and I was lucky enough to be able to provide that for everybody for that step in BMX.
Well, that was massive because that was another level for everyone to have to go down that track at that speed. No one knew what to expect. Our bike's going to shear in half when we landed. There's all kinds of drama But for you to be able to protect everybody, that's massive. I mean, huge, especially with the full face helmet. Like, you can fix everything else, but you bang this up too much.
So one thing you can't win for a ortho on.
That's very true. Yes, exactly. So you've got a huge marketing background, relationship building, and you're still doing that today with another brand for yourself now. Tell me a little bit about that.
Kind of fell into that hole of, coming from Fox, coming from DC Shoes, and a few of the other companies I've worked for. I think people kind of viewed me on this plateau of, dude, he'll be so expensive to hire, and I've really kind of been struggling to find, a permanent job, get a lot of contracts for helping out on some marketing efforts and graphic work and building websites. And I'm just doing everything I can right now. But then I came to a kind of a epiphany of, so am I going to really sacrifice all of my time, all of my family time now to just be cut when budgets go down, And I was just like, well, maybe I should just do it for myself,
Right.
Definitely take the slow road. I don't have all this dough to throw in and make something awesome, but in kind of doing a reverse marketing plan of building up this name, the LRC, the La Revolution Cafe, and driving it forward to become, eventually a brick and mortar or something like that as a co-op. And within that, creating that and moving forward, I was just like, you know what? My son really got an interest in riding bikes, and when he was very, 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 very young. And so I was just like, well, if he's going to ride, I guess I'll just make a team, right?
Yeah, why not?
I've always helped out teams, on the marketing side with their graphics, doing jerseys, whatever. And so kind of teamed up with the bike shop. And then that bike shop really dropped the ball on all the kids that were supporting. So I was like, I'm just taking it on myself. Luckily, riding mountain bikes and working with Mongoose on that side, and them wanting to get into the back into the BMX scene, had a great opportunity for a lot of input in everything that they went through to get the ball rolling and try to get back into BMX. And they took on our team as their flagship team coming back into BMX. And kids took a beating, for that name coming back into BMX.
Right. Yeah, of course.
But they stayed true and are really showing the efforts of all their pain kind of right now with, an amazing bike that they're making. They're making a bike so you can get back to the track. You don't got to spend $1 million, and they're having fun. And that's the program I wanted to build. I really wanted to help the association when they merged. But they kind of really didn't want to hear it. So by me having my own team and doing things my own way, I can kind of help that direction in my own way, in my own capacity with my team. And they're loving it. The expectations aren't out of the world. And I just want kids to enjoy riding bikes. Mongoose's philosophy which I really dug, is let's go have fun, and it's not about number ones. Yeah, of course I want all my kids to win all the time, but that's not our end goal. Our end goal is being great representatives for the brands that we partner up with, and to have a lot of fun. That's why majority of our pictures that we post up, even in a race, the kids are smiling, because that's the feeling you should always have on your bike, is you should just be in the middle of joy. That's your getaway, your way to reduce your stress, your outlet for aggression. And that's what those two wheels are for, is just to give you elation and make you feel so awesome. And that's just what I'm trying to push to these kids. I had all my kids at a state race. I went down there to set up the booth for the setup for them. And they were opening a bike park that same weekend, like 30 minutes away. And I was like, hey, you guys have fun at the race. I'm going to the bike park, and I said, you guys can do whatever you want, but that's where I'll be. my whole team showed up at the bike park instead of the state race. That was like the proudest of my life, for my
let's go have fun. Let's just go ride and have fun and hang out. That's what we grew up doing, right? Going to the trails, hanging out with your boys, riding your bike.
And that's one of the weird things now is everything, I don't mean to bring this up, but kind of like the race thing going on right now. That's how bike world kind of got. There's these hard lines, right? Of you're a park rider, you're a dirt rider, you're a racer, all these things. And like, I was never one of those, I was at the trails, people didn't know I raced. I was at the race, people didn't know I could ride a skate park. I'm at the skate park, I just want to ride, it's just like whoever comes down or whoever I'm visiting with, I don't care, let's go do it, except for road biking. I won't do that. It's just too boring for me. But I never wanted to be categorized as one thing. I'm just a rider, I want to be able to grab whatever and go have fun with the guys or whatever, and just really enjoy being on a bicycle with my friends, so I don't care what situation it is. I fell into racing because I was very good at it, and coming from, of course, a football and track background, those are the two skills that lead to going forward in racing,
You are already fast twitchy. You couldn't help yourself.
Yeah, exactly. So, but no, I push, BMX to a lot of the local kids and kids at my son's school for them to come out and try, because I really feel BMX is a foundation sport. It's definitely not one you're going to make $1 million at, but it's one that if you really dedicate yourself and excel, you could go to anything else and be awesome.
Absolutely.
Because you're building, self-reliance, you're becoming an athlete, your balance and coordination go through the roof. And I've just seen a lot of kids go to other sports, and we've seen, two professional sports, two football, two high collegiate sports, like NASCAR, motocross, everything across the board, people that had a foundation in BMX, that they've been able to excel and taking
it gets overlooked because people still think BMX is a little kid sport. But as you grow and progress and your body gets bigger and stronger, you're tying this entire chain together. It's not just, I'm a sprinter, so my legs are good, or I catch, so I've got good hand-eye coordination. Everything is incorporated, from the way your mechanics go to how fast you need to move, to what you've got to see on the track. Like, it's a whole process, and it transitions to other disciplines of cycling, as well as other disciplines in other sports. You're exactly right.
No, for sure. And that's one of the things I really appreciate this sport given to me, is, I've been able to excel, from going to mountain biking to, now I'm category 1 because everybody gets so mad if I win category 2 because I come from BMX, it's just like all these crazy situations. But
cherry
then
picker, get out of here.
Right. They're just like, oh, you're going to race again? It's just like, dude, I race mountain bikes 4 times a year. Give me a break. But it's just those skills just translate over, because, everything is you have to be so precise in BMX, everything, every wheel size above BMX just gets slower and easier to a BMXer.
So much easier.
Not
as twitchy, more stable, but not that it's easier to ride. Don't get me wrong. I'm not taking the skill set away from it, but comparatively, dude, you can't compare it. Like, you can't. It's impossible.
Yeah, no, I had the hardest transition because I raced motocross for 2 seasons, from going from BMX to motocross, because I'd hang up on a jump and be like, damn it. I'm like, oh shoot, I got to throttle, because I want to land perfect all the time, because in my head, that's BMX.
Yeah.
But having that thought in my head to do that made me a faster motocrosser,
Right.
So it's like, I'm trying to land on the landings to get backside, to throttle down, instead of, hanging up and throttling after, in body position. Like, I'm back on the back, like Jason Anderson, as when everybody's kind of more on the front of the motorcycle. But, being back, you could, push your legs out into turns and into ruts and over whoops, eat faster because you don't have to adjust body position so much. So it's just like those crazy things. I got called a sandbagger in motocross the first year I ever raced.
See, it crosses over.
Yeah. It's wild. It's one of those things of that, like, I'm so happy for those experiences, but then I'm just like, if you only knew.
Yep.
Like, I raced the FedEx series here in National Series here in Southern California, and these guys had motorcycles since they were kids. I got my first motorcycle when I was 25 years old. And I was working so much, I maybe rode once every 3 months. And then moving down. Is that
the one that I saw at Grandma's house?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. That thing was awesome. Big, scary.
So it's like, so then I moved down to California, like, I'll be able to ride more, but then I'm working so much, I never get to ride anymore. It was crazy because down to Southern California to DC Shoes, it was right next to Carlsbad Raceway.
Oh, wow.
Like, right next to it. And I was just like, dude, I'll just leave my motorcycle at work, go ride after work. I had all these big old plans of riding moto. And I moved there, get everything situated, shut the track down. But then working so didn't have time to race anyways or ride at all. So, just sat in my garage, and then, when everything went down to DC and I was kind of just in the middle of nothing, I was like, I live 30 minutes from Paulo Raceway. I'm going to start riding. So started racing, and because my buddies talked me into it, and I won the FedEx series the first time I ever tried in the beginner class, and went up to amateur, and then those guys are for reals, like those guys be in the amateur class. They just don't want to be in the, it goes, amateur to real deal,
Yep.
But those guys shouldn't have been there. Those guys are crazy. And it sucked because this is why I got called a sandbagger, because I raced a CRF 250. Everybody I race is on 450s.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there's a difference. I'd have called you sandbagger too. You beat me on a little bike.
Right. So, I'm a big dude on a little bike. But
no kidding.
A lot of fun, it was my girlfriend at the time, who's my wife now, got a dose of reality of who I am, through that, because I have a lot of respect for motocross. I wouldn't just send it like I do when I was racing BMX, because you get so hurt on a motorcycle, so I always had a respect for it. And but she saw at one of the qualifiers, I crashed. I know I separated my shoulder, but that was the first moto. So came back, like arms kind of shaky, not a lot of grip on my throttle hand. And I was just like, just start taping it up, She's like, what are you doing? I was like, I have another moto to race. And she's just like, she was just in shock by the whole thing, because she comes from a zero athletic background,
Right.
And I think that's why I really liked her, because she didn't know anything. In the world I was in, most of the people you meet know everything that you do, and that's why they're kind of in that circle and understand it. I just met her offside. She knew nothing about it. She's like, you ride those kids' bikes? The typical.
Yeah. BMX. Yeah.
Yeah. She knew nothing about what was going on, which I think was really refreshing, Yeah. And then he'd be just like, oh, have you ever seen that? Like, yeah, I've done that. She's like, you've done that? Like, those were the kind of conversations, and we still have after, 12 plus years. And it's just amazing to me to see the little caves people live in.
Yep. We were very, very fortunate to be able to go do the stuff that we did. Incredibly fortunate. I joke with people and say, I retired first, but now I'm working now. because of all those cool experiences, traveling the globe, riding a bike.
Right.
Right. That was a really good time. And I have to thank you for being such a good supporter back in the day of me, no matter where you were. So thank you for that.
Hey, that's no problem, man. I always try to make sure that if you're part of my program, you're part of my program. You're not just a number on the board. Oh, if I get to it person, it's just like even with my team now, with my factory team, we have 13 riders, but I started a squad, which is pretty cool, I think, for BMX, because we're getting a lot of transfer over from people from traditional sports. You see a lot of soccer kids and baseball kids coming to BMX now. So they're just like, where's my jersey? That's their thing, being part of something. And in trying not to dilute my factory team, I started a squad, which is basically remember when Fernandez BMX had the A and the B team?
Like a co-factory program, right?
Yeah. That's my co-factory team. And but what I did was to kind of empower my riders on the team. They get to start their own squad and they take care of it, because those are the kids at their local tracks that look up to them, right? Mm-hmm. So how build your audience if your audience is part of what you're doing, So I enabled them to start their own squads. And so we have, one in Northern California, one in Las Vegas, one in Philadelphia, one in Florida, one in Michigan. And we have over 30 kids on that thing.
Wow.
So, which is good. We just, Mongoose gives them bikes at cost, which they don't even cost nothing to start with, but then they get them at cost, right. So they're super psyched, get rad bikes and just spreading that psychness up, and I open my pits up to my squad riders. So if they're at an event, we're at a national, whatever, they can pit with us,
Even better.
Yeah. So just making it more of a community thing, because I really feel that got lost in BMX, because
I agree.
It was you guys were all my family, because I didn't have a family growing up. So you guys were my family. I couldn't wait. I think that's why I started going to so many nationals, because it's all right, yeah. I'll just roll up, head to the Huffy rig. Craig will be there. Mitchell will be there. Stumpy will be there. Everybody will be there. So that was it was not so much about racing as about seeing all you guys all the time.
That's the one thing I miss about BMX, about traveling in that traveling circus, is seeing all my friends. So I'm with you on that.
For sure. And now it's just so individualized. It's nobody really wants to help somebody else out, because it's becoming ultra competitive. Dude, what are you running here? You're running. I don't know. What do you mean you don't know?
Right.
Especially for son, because I've never had a son before. I never even had a little bike before, because I started, when I was 16. So it's I have no idea what's going on with these ratios and all this Q factor, all these things, all these little bikes.
Strange stuff.
It's so crazy, and but some parents are just I don't know what gear he has on. I'm just dude, how do you not know you built the kid don't build his bike?
Right.
But it's just whatever, it's fine, and it's just ultra competitive, even at the little kids, Gold Cup finals, the kid next to my kid, his dad literally told him to take my kid out. It's just this is 5 novice, dude.
No one's winning a gold medal. Settle down.
Right. It's just really? So I just told my son, I was if he comes over and makes you crash, just hold on to him. Yeah.
We've both done that before. I'm going to hug you to the ground, dude. Sorry.
Right.
Well, Dewayne, listen, man, I appreciate your time. You have been fantastic. And I look forward to all the successful things that you're going to continue to go do. I see the Mongoose brand really thriving and growing with you at the helm and working together with them, as well as your company as well. So thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. And if you guys like what you're seeing, please make sure you subscribe to the channel and you'll be alerted every time we post one up. Have a great day. Thanks for tuning in. Dewayne, I'll talk to you soon, buddy.
All right, man. Thanks for the time. I really appreciate it. This thing's awesome.
Excellent.